Hey there, Soulshine. It's Michelle, the Miracle Maker here, and I'm inviting you to wake up and live. Yay for living. So today I'm tidying up. And so this concept called tidying up. Before a certain person came into the scene, tidying up to me just meant kind of you were cleaning things up, putting things away, and tidying, right? Well, the joy of tidying came up. The joy of tidying up by Marie Kondo. She wrote a book and it like swept the nation, right? This idea that you only keep what sparks joy. Now, I have been studying decluttering for so many years. It's been crazy. And I do pretty good at it. My life is not perfect. I still, every once in a while, I find things. I'm definitely a minimalist. And when I do only keep what sparks joy, it tends to leave me in a more minimalist kind of state. But that's not my goal. For some people, that's totally a great goal. If that's what brings you joy, then do that. Now, so there's so much, there's like all these thoughts, and I just want them to line up and just be perfect for you guys. I have thoughts. Do I talk about feng shui? Do I talk about decluttering? What do I talk about? There is a word that I've heard Anne come learn and grow with me. You can go find her channel. It's amazing. You're already watching it. Anne is, she talks about following your bliss. Now, I'm not sure if she picked that word up from somewhere else, but I love that word because to me, bliss it's not just joy. Joy can get confused with happiness and it can be kind of weird, but bliss brings in this sense of like joy mixed with peace, mixed with this really fun word that kind of feels like an accompaniment, encompasses more than just joy. So I love that. So she'll say, follow your bliss. Now, what if we took the statement that Marie Kondo says, and she says, hold your things, and you just hold them in your hands. I don't have anything close enough for me to hold. I could hold my phone. You hold something, heart, and you ask, does this spark joy? And if it makes you all happy, then it sparks joy. And if it makes you feel heavy, then it doesn't. What if we asked, does this spark bliss? Does this does this encourage me to a place of bliss? Does this lead me to bliss? What if we asked that? What would be different? I've never tried it, so that's just kind of a thought that's coming in because I love this idea of bliss. What would bring me the most peace? And when I say tidying up, I am not a person who can just focus on one thing at a time. I've studied interior design. I've studied feng shui. I've studied decluttering and organizing. I've studied all of these things over and over and over again. I get brought back to the home. I'm a house empath, which means I feel the energy in a home. I do energy healing for homes that is different than I've ever seen anybody else do it. I do it distantly, and I don't use anything like sage or things like that. If you want to use those kind of things, I don't have a problem with that. I just do things going and cleaning a different plane and creates a different outcome. And so I'm very drawn to things with the home, but I can't just work with the home. I cannot just work with the energy of the home because it starts feeling very heavy to me. Because to me, it's not just about transforming your home. It's about transforming your life. Everything is a pattern, and I just use our homes as a pattern for what's happening in us. So if I'm asking you to I'm gonna grab this. Okay, so this is a pencil from Halloween. It's got spider webs. And if I held this and I asked, does this spark joy? And then I decide whether or not to keep this pencil, right? It's got cute little spiders on it too, like the adorable kind. So if I ask that of my items, if I believe that everything that we have in the outside world experience is just a reflection of what's happening inside, then don't I need to ask myself that about my beliefs? There's this thing called phantom rules. And a phantom rule, I wish that I could take you through this game that we played. I was at one of those personal development seminar things, right? And the person comes in and he's like, here's your rules. Here's this frisbee. The game's called Don't Touch Me. And once the game starts, if you touch somebody, you can't. You're like, don't touch me. And the game, like, you ruin the game. And it ends the game. And you have to have it so that everybody can touch this frisbee somehow in a certain period of time, or how fast can you do it and everything. And so we were all doing these different things, and he told us about what a group of teenagers did, and how fast they were able to do it. Because the whole point is there was 2 rules. Everybody had to touch the frisbee, and once the game started, nobody could touch anybody else. It did not say nobody could be touching anybody else. It said once it started, you couldn't touch somebody. So the way to win the game was to start with every single person all scrunched up together, all touching each other, touching the frisbee. So that when he said go, you already won. And the whole point of that was to prove that so often we come up with all of these rules that don't exist. The rule was once the game starts, you can't touch anybody else. It didn't say that you couldn't be touching before the game started. How many times in life do we do that? And we have these rules about so-and-so should do this, or I should do this. We have these rules about how it should look. Who said? Who made up the rule? Is it a law written down on paper? I mean, we have rules. Like if there's rules to a game, you follow the rules to game. Sometimes there's not rules to games, and sometimes you make up your own rules, and sometimes before the game starts, everybody is aware that there's some new games, house rules or whatever, and you have to make sure everybody's aware of the rules. But somebody else coming in who's not playing by your house rules, you can't be like, that's how you play it, because maybe they had different house rules, and that's okay. And we obviously have the laws of the land. Whatever land you're in, you got to obey the laws of the land or suffer the consequences. So there are rules. There are rules in the universe. There are conscious rules of creation. Now, these are not necessarily constant things, but if you want to create things, you actively use these rules. So there's different ways where rules are set, but so often in our lives, we have rules and beliefs and ideas and perceptions that are not real. And so when you come across a rule like this, like a rule that you have to be in bed by a certain time, or you have to be up by a certain time, or you have to wear your hair a certain way, or these are kind of frivolous rules, but what are some others? You have to get a certain kind of job. Who said? Who dictated that rule? And does that rule bring you joy? Does it lead you to peace? Does it bring you bliss? You get to question your beliefs. You get to question your things. There are certain things. There are people that I know that have left my religious beliefs. Quite a few of them. They decided they didn't need them anymore. And that's okay for them. They get their consequences one way or another. And I choose to stay with my religious beliefs. And I get my consequences one way or another, because a consequence is just something that happens because you make a choice. There are good consequences and bad consequences. So maybe the good ones come from staying, or maybe the good ones come from leaving. That's not, that's for each of us to decide. But when it came down to it, I had to question my own beliefs, and I had to ask myself, Does believing this bring me joy? And for me, yes, it brings me great joy to keep my religious beliefs. It brings me great joy. For somebody else, maybe they don't even ask that. I don't know what they ask, but somebody else may get a different answer, and that's okay. So as you're going through your home, keeping only what sparks you joy. What sparks joy for you? Also, hello, dog. Somebody just came home. Also take into consideration. Excuse me, I'm on a live video. It's one thing to have the dog barking. It's another to have the teenager barking. Oh, that's funny. So when you're asking what sparks joy with your stuff, ask what sparks joy in your beliefs, in your life, and only keep what brings joy. And that's what I'm going to share with you today. I'll see you guys next time. Remember to let your soul shine big, bright, live, and beautiful, and have a wonderful day. That was amazing. I love all the extra barking.